Surprise! We are back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome to the created economy. I can't even know the name of our own show. This is our weekly news show on everything happening in the creator economy. We'll be bringing you a roundup of the latest news, commentary, interviews, and of course, some deep dives with experts like our friend Sarah, who will be joining us very shortly on everything happening in the creator economy. So we go live on Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Mountain Time. You can find out more over at created.show. It is the official show page where we have our episodes and all the details about upcoming episodes. But if you want long form content, because that's more your thing, head over to createdeconomy.com. That is where we post up our show notes and lots of other interesting things. It's also an opportunity for you to sign up to be a guest, because guess what? We need more guests in the long term. By the way, we are streaming right now on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, sometimes LinkedIn, but Ken deleted that this week, so blame him for us.
You're just gonna automatically throw me under the bus. We're not even 5 minutes in.
It would be better if LinkedIn actually allowed you to say schedule your events to start, like when you needed to start them, as opposed to having to schedule them an hour in advance. But it's been a busy week, so we haven't been able to do that. But we are on Clubhouse. We are on Twitter Spaces all right now. So feel free to join us there for audio. Of course, you can join us for video as well. I need to go share a link. But before we do that, Ken, how you been, man? How's it been? How's it going out there? You had a birthday.
I did. Apparently, 365 days. I decided to level up. So now I'm in the season finale of my 30s was spectacular. I am now in the fourth season. I've been renewed for another for another decade. So that's always a plus. But as you can tell,
how are the upfronts this year?
Oh man, they were horrible. They were horrible. It's like all still TBDs type of thing. So we'll see how it goes. But as you can tell, I'm around. I'm back to sporting a tie. I'm pulling the what is that eccentric stock guy on CNBC? The one that Mark Benioff always talks to. It's like I'm kind of pulling that type of energy right now and that type of look. So.
My favorite line? What was that movie? 25th Hour. Ed Norton and the other guy. And one of my favorite lines of that movie was the guy was like, "You look like an effing optical illusion. You're wearing a striped tie with a striped shirt."
I'm trying to throw it off here. It's like I could have worn green, but green on video was just probably not a good idea.
By the way, Ken is not wearing a striped tie or striped shirt for anyone who's listening.
Well, I am wearing a striped shirt, just not a striped tie.
No, not a striped tie. I mean, that would make you an optical illusion.
By
the way, as they say in the business, don't wear striped clothing on video.
Well, go big or go home, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think we're back. This is episode 4. A little disclosure: apologies for the noise you might hear in the background. Turns out that we're doing some creator space type stuff in my condo building. So it's all part of the act, right? But thank you all for joining us, and looking forward to another great conversation, this time with our very dear friend who we have known for, oh, good Lord, so many years. And we've had so many amazing conversations.
Because she's old.
No. We are old. We are old, not her. But she's done such an amazing. She has had an amazing career, not only as a creator, but as a journalist, as a founder, as a hacker, a developer, and now she's an investor doing some fantastic stuff. And I'm sure we'll have a lively conversation about what it all means to the creator economy. So we'll bring Sarah Austin on in a little bit,
and a creator also.
Yeah, I mentioned that earlier. Come on, I thought
you skipped that part, actually.
Well. She's all of this. She is an amazing amazing individual that basically, like, I'm wondering, is there anything that she can't do? Like it's fantastic. It's absolutely fantastic. But we'll learn more about her.
To keep all the flatters for when the guest is visible with us. Now, at least we can see the preview.
she can catch the replay later on. Yeah. We'll make it as a meme. It'll probably wind up being as a LinkedIn testimonial sometime later.
I'm sure. All right.
Anyways.
Well, we got a lot to cover this week, as per usual. So let's jump right into it. So yes, it is June 9th, episode 4. Thank you for being with us today. We have a lot of news. I mean, there's just always too much news at this point. You should see the fights that Ken and I have about who gets to tell which story. So on that note, let's jump right into it. First up, let's go. Our first segment's on creator economics, though. And so, Ken, was this yours?
This was mine, yeah.
Yeah.
Although you did try and poach it. So here's the thing about collaboration. Like, you need to really lay down, things can be very territorial. So, but our first story comes from, is specifically around a graph that was in an eMarketer report. Basically, it highlights like which of the social media platforms are the most creator friendly, right? And the thing with that is it's like most of the results are all around Facebook properties, which is not necessarily so surprising because they have the biggest reach. Facebook properties have the biggest reach. But out of all, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or whatever else they have, I think ultimately what probably shouldn't surprise anybody is that Instagram or Instagram stories tops TikTok, tops YouTube and Pinterest and Twitter, Snapchat, and all these other things. So there's a high likelihood for brands, for marketers to really engage with influencers there. And as we get through the rest of the news for this week, it'll be pretty apparent to see what's being done from the Instagram and Facebook side to encourage and entice more creators onto their platform.
Well, it seems like we're in an arms race again. So it's coming soon. Yeah, Pinterest live streaming, though, I thought that was interesting. I think we talked about that a couple of weeks ago. Next up, related, by the way, there's a lot of news about this topic, actually. And there's a lot of discussion going on right now about, how much, in general, I think, Ken, like the take rates that different organizations and platforms actually are, the charges they're exacting from creators. And one of the biggest sort of takers in the space is Apple, right? And so there's increasing discussion. Facebook announced actually, right, that they were going to be disclosing how much Apple was taking from you as part of them delivering their fees in their new dashboard. But the information has a good article about Apple's brewing battle over creator commission. In case you don't know, Apple takes 30%. I believe didn't they lower it though to 15%?
It depends. It's all based on on how much revenue you get. But even that's very tricky, right? I mean, it's like 30% is the default for Google and Apple, and they're getting into a lot of trouble.
Google doesn't seem to take the arrows the way Apple does, though.
Well, I think the Apple's more in the limelight now because of because their dirty laundry, all the inner workings has been aired in their in this antitrust lawsuit.
Right, it was the
from Epic Games. Yeah. So they're throwing that all out there. And then there's another article that came out, I believe it's from The Verge, that basically showed that look, there's like Roblox was not considered a game, so there's some loophole now. So Apple has gone through and changed their policy in terms of like what's considered a game versus a content creator, and then there's some leeway for them to fuss around with that. So it's not really 100% clear in terms of the creator commissions, but I think that's actually going to play a big factor over the next few weeks, or not years, in terms of how these platforms cater towards creators. And I think there's a lot of soul searching that not only these platforms need to do, but creators in terms of where they need to go and how much money they stand to potentially lose as a result.
We'll have to talk to Sarah about this topic too, because I know one of the reasons people like or advocates of crypto is that there are no fees per se. Mm-hmm. There may be gas, but there are no fees, right? And so this is one of the appeals of a blockchain-based universe as well. What's up? Our next story. I did come across this yesterday. It was just a chart shared by the information as well. really sort of highlighting all the deals that A16Z has put forward. And interestingly enough, one of the reasons for their investment so strongly in this area is because they have their crypto fund. And so they've made a significant number of investments into sort of the crypto ecosystem. But of course, they've invested in a number of other things that you may have heard of, for example, like Clubhouse. PS Turntable FM is back again. Really? Like, what happened there?
Oh, man.
We used to listen. We used to be on that all the time, actually. So can't complain about that. But there are several NFT investments in here, and I definitely want to ask Sarah about these when we get back to here. Maybe we'll bring this chart back in there. But yeah, Andreessen, I would say, is certainly a prolific investor in the space. But there are a number of other great VCs and investors out there. So hopefully we'll have some of them on here soon to talk with us. Last article was one that came up not too very recently, actually. New York Times talking about how young creators are burning out and breaking down. You know, the interesting thing here is I feel like I'm going to have a breakdown just trying to produce a weekly show with you. So I can't imagine being on the hook. And you've seen some of these stories, right? Like I remember reading about Ninja, like he had to like figure out or calculate the loss from going on his honeymoon because like that 6 days cost him like $500,000 in annual subscriptions or something like that.
Yeah.
It isn't always on proposition. There are a lot of challenges. There's a lot of pressure. Some of it, I think, is the same things I preach to other founders, though, is that you can and should actually still have a life outside of your work. And part of it is the pattern that you set up from the beginning, right? Unfortunately, algorithms do govern a lot of the success, the determination, or play a big role in the success factors for creators. And so that cadence and that regularity can often be a critical part of your success. But if you are a creator out there and you have got, have you been suffering with sort of feelings like of distress or depression, by all means, we'd love to hear from you, but also we want you to know you're not alone. Mm-hmm. It is better to build something that lasts a long time than if something's just successful for a very short time. You've got your whole life in front of you. And this is a good read, though, because it does go behind the scenes with several TikTokers to sort of talk about some of the challenges they faced, some of the emotional drain that goes with it, and sort of that perpetual sort of hamster wheel that you can feel like you get on, to be a creator. I could say from experience, just Ken and I just doing this show, we probably talk every day about some part of it, and we're not even producing every day, right? And our production workflow is like the dog crappiest version of like what you could call producing a show. We don't do any editing. We don't have any of the fancy cool stuff that like actual, other creators out there are doing. So I can understand and relate to this feeling for sure. But let's go on. We've got some YouTube news as well, just continuing through. Ken, this was yours.
Yes. So oddly, like a 180 switch to what we talked about, and mental health is first and foremost. I think what we were talking about earlier, way back in the beginning, of the show are all these platforms that are top of the line for brands, right? And what YouTube has going for it, which was I guess formally announced or formally revealed, if you will, by Fast Company, is this creator in residence program that YouTube has. And I remember back in the day, I think this was probably 5 or plus years ago, when I was writing for the Next Web, I visited a YouTube Spaces facility in Los Angeles, right, just north of the airport. And the whole premise of that particular space, this is a physical space where creators can go and produce content, produce their work, and in this, with top of the line equipment. But with this creator in residence, this is more like an incubator. So an incubator type of program. So what YouTube does is they will choose a select number of creators and artists and influencers, and they will work with them and give them access to tools. They will allow them to kind of really beta test and preview what's coming down the pipe for what YouTube's doing. And at some point, and YouTube will even visit them at their at these creators' homes to help offer whatever guidance they need. And the potential afterwards is look, once you've done that, you might be able to advance into some special funds, right? Like For example, the Fast Company article cited the Black Creators Fund that YouTube set up a while back. So this is an opportunity to do that. So this is another incentive that YouTube's doing to encourage creators to do that, because they feel like, hey, we are the one that most people associate from when it comes to creators and influencers and those original types of content. And so we have that capabilities, that expertise compared to Facebook and Snapchat and everybody else. So this is, as Greg, you pointed out, another part of the arms race to amass a loyal following of creators in the future.
Absolutely. In other YouTube news, last week they reported, or at least through a press release, that in the last 12 months, YouTube has paid out $4 billion to music industry. I mean, I think it's easy to lose sight of this, but YouTube is one of the most viable sources for creators, I think, to monetize their efforts, right? They pay out like whereas everyone else is, just getting started, maybe $1 billion here, $1 billion there. YouTube's doing tens of billions of dollars paid to creators, largely, and through an array of services. So I think it's important to remember that predominantly still, I think, is still the AdSense sort of advertising driven stuff, but increasingly memberships and tips and a number of other ways to monetize. So don't sleep on YouTube. Maybe it feels a little old fashioned for some folks, or, a lot of folks are on TikTok, but you're trying to figure out how to monetize. But the YouTube side is definitely, sort of where it's a bit more prolific in terms of like tried and true and steady revenue once you can get to certain sizes. Unlike, say, other platforms like Twitch and maybe TikTok, where you might be able to grow an audience. Twitch is actually pretty hard too. But on TikTok, I know a lot of people can grow up on TikTok pretty quickly, but doesn't necessarily always lead to revenue. But YouTube still blowing it out of the water here. This is mostly related, by the way, to music stuff. So TikTok is one of a better way to get paid for music in a lot of ways than, say, even Spotify. Actually, if you have a content ID and some of the other features that are enabled there. Instagram news. What else we got going on over here now? Let's see.
So Instagram had, as we talked about, I think it was a few weeks ago, Instagram has their Creator Week, right? And on the eve of this Creator Week, Mark Zuckerberg came out and said, like, look, we will take care of. We will work with creators in terms of revenue share. And there's no rev share program in place with Instagram right now. But according to Mark Zuckerberg, if there was one, Facebook will have it be less than the 30% of Apple and Google. And what this all kind of came across with the Apple and Apple's Epic Games trial. And there's certainly no love lost between Apple and Facebook in light of the Apple's new privacy features in place. But here's where it gets interesting, right? As we're talking, again, this arms race that's for creators. Instagram's making it easier for creators to make money, and through like having some sort of a native affiliate link opportunity within Instagram, so creators can make more money. They will be able to they might be able to sell merchandise further down the line. So there are a lot of interesting things at play for creators to do to take advantage within Instagram. And I think Instagram will certainly have enough ammo ahead in its arsenal to take on TikTok and YouTube. So I think over the next year, it'll be very fascinating to see how much more the brands feel Instagram and Facebook will stand up against more traditional ones such as YouTube or Twitch.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my breath. I mean, I know the tools are being deployed, but we also have like a decade of them not paying a penny to creators. So
that's true.
I'm not going to be grateful. Damn it. All right, some news on Twitch. This one's yours, Ken.
Twitch. I mean, we're talking about like a lot of these traditional social media players, but I think we can't ignore the fact that Twitch turns 10. It's now 10 years old, right? That birthday's passed, but it's 10 years old. But what's fascinating is like this Wired article, like the Twitch exec calls Twitch the quote original player in the creator economy. That seems kind of interesting and almost dubious. I think I'd be very curious to hear your thoughts, Greg. But especially since YouTube's been around a lot longer. But it seems that in terms of, but for YouTube, they're just producing content that's just like, okay, we're here. While Twitch is more like, hey, it's more dynamic. It's more about life. It's more about like, it's that Justin TV type of modality that's how it got started.
Yeah, I'm torn on this. I would probably, I could reasonably give Twitch credit for being the original to some degree, right? Certainly for live streaming, right? I think there wasn't really any. I mean, back then there were other things, those weird things, right? Murray says YouTube was the original. YouTube was definitely the original for published videos. Twitch is probably the OG for, I would say, streaming, user generated streaming video or content, right? But Twitch has a lot of interesting capabilities that now, when you look at the space, what's happening? People are actually copying more of what's in Twitch and bringing it outwards than what than like the other way around, right? Like the video part, YouTube was brave and early on in sort of getting video onto the web. But all the other tools that are happening to the current like version or iteration of the creator economy that we're looking at, it's actually the community-based tools and the subscriptions and the tipping and all these other features and capabilities that exist on the Twitch universe that are actually being mirrored now in other places. So I will give Twitch some credit for doing a lot for the creator space from a very early days. Obviously, YouTube was one of the leaders and the first in sort of getting video online and networked, right, in the manner that it was. And, we said we got tons of respect for what YouTube does as well. But yeah, they're both important to the ecosystem. We think they have lots of life left in them for sure. So, by the way, that's the end of our news segment, and we're going to give you a chance to, if you're in the audience listening anywhere, we're going to bring Sarah in and have her before we do her intro, we'll actually just have her react to the news. She wasn't even paying attention. Watch. We probably should have told her we were going to quiz her on the news after. But just in case you didn't know, we are always live tweeting out the links to all these articles. So if you're watching us, check the comment stream there. If you're on Twitter, check Twitter for the links to these posts. And of course, we have a Flipboard over at Creative Economy. There's a link on screen now. But if you head over to our Creative Economy Flipboard, you can find all of the news that we considered even before the ones that we picked to talk about today. So with that, why don't we bring our guest, Sarah, on to interact and react? So this is the part where we like to sort of like just do our quick reactions to news before we get into the full interview. If anyone's listening out there and wants to come on up, feel free to raise your hand and we'll bring you up as well. Sarah, how are you?
Hey guys, it's really good to see you. It's been a while since COVID and everything.
It's been forever. None of us live in the same state anymore. How do you like that?
Oh, where are you?
I'm in Denver. He's in
I'm
Seattle.
In Washington.
Yeah,
yep.
And you're the only one that's left.
see, we moved just so it made it easier. Gives us all an excuse to travel once everything's all said and done. Like we can all visit more places.
Yeah, I certainly would love to go to Denver. It's so beautiful there. And then I'll hold it down in California so you guys can come visit me. But yeah, I didn't know that you guys left, so that's sad. So many people are flocking to other states ever since everyone works from home. But yeah, just my commentary on the news. I think the thing that really stands out to me is the YouTube program for creators to give feedback to YouTube, so that can be iterated into the user experience. I think that Instagram should have done that when they made that change. I don't know if you guys remember when Instagram made the algorithm change so that content creators were forced to post 2 photos a day versus 1 photo a day. And it caused a lot of creator fatigue. And
no, they're worried about hiding likes, but then they're forcing you to post more, right?
Yeah, they're causing their influencers and their stars to have to create lower quality content in order to meet the demands to keep their followers increasing and keep them fed with even just being able to populate their news feeds. And that was something that a lot of creators complained about. So, YouTube probably is learning from these mistakes in the industry. I mean, it's like, yeah, maybe you call that a mistake, but then look at Instagram as #1 on the chart for the #1 demand for marketers. So I think the percentage was 97% of marketers are choosing Instagram for advertisements. So maybe just that's what they care about at the end of the day is serving those ads. But YouTube, I think, sees the long-term value in investing in their creators and trying to build products that the creators are okay with and that match their lifestyle.
So
Yeah.
Sarah, in terms of like your background is extensive in terms of creating content. Like on you started Pop 17 back many years ago. You worked with a lot of brands. But as you look at the landscape now, if you had to go back and do it all over again, which of these platforms would you probably put more of your time into? Would it still be YouTube, or would it be Instagram, TikTok, or Twitch, or anything else?
That's a good question. Just as a creator, trying to get on as many platforms as possible, but then you have to adjust your content because it's not always one size fits all, which can be pretty exhausting. I like what you guys are doing with your live content. So, clearly coming from some creators with some experience as well. But I would say YouTube to answer your question. Yeah, YouTube just seems to be.
Is that as an individual creator or like as a business? Like, so if you were advising a business, would you have a different answer?
No, I would also say YouTube just because, YouTube has excellent SEO and it's become the de facto search engine. A lot of people prefer to receive their information through videos. And so you're seeing more and more search over on YouTube search. So it's a great place for discovery. It's a great place for businesses to attract their target customers. And that's, something that's morphing and changing as new features evolve with Web 3.0 and everything that's going on with the future evolution of technology. But it seems like YouTube's pretty cutting edge. And I think also that the technology always wins.
All right, now let's do a quick transition here. We are interviewing Sarah. And Sarah, we'd love for you to just be able to like, oh, how do I do this? This is so complicated. It's like I need to do this so that I could do this, right? Sarah, can you just do a quick intro and tell everyone who you are before we jump in? Because we have a ton of questions.
Okay, sure, no problem. So hello, everybody. It's a pleasure to be here live with y'all. I am Sarah Austin. I am knee deep into cryptocurrencies. So I've kind of transitioned into Web 3.0 after an extensive background as early dating back to Web 1.0 when I was at Stanford as a teenager. I was actually around the Valley in Palo Alto for the very beginning of Web 1.0, and everyone thought that the money was in the protocol. But then AOL came out and Yahoo and next up Google, and everyone learned that the money was actually not in the protocol. But this time around, I think that the money is in the protocol, as we're seeing with cryptocurrencies. So I'm really interested in NFTs, just being a content creator myself. I'm coming at NFTs after diving deep into financial instruments and understanding the entire ecosystem of that is crypto, the history of crypto, and decentralized finance, DeFi. I think you really have to know it all in order to fully, see the future of NFTs, because it's the mergence. It's like finance and content coming together. The whole idea is you're cutting out the middlemen. You're going direct to the consumers, and you're creating, through smart contracts and technologies, new distributed distributions and completely new models for content. And, of course, brands are trying to get into this as well, because NFTs don't have to be just videos or art or music. They can be so much more than that. They could be this T-shirt I'm wearing. could be anything.
So let's step back for a second real quick though. A lot of folks, there's a lot of different interpretations of Web 3.0, for example. Like, do you have a definition you like using or that you find helpful for people understanding sort of the broader sense of this?
Sure. I mean, the way that I think of Web 3.0 is everything encompassing cryptocurrencies.
Got you. Okay, that's good. I know you're working now a lot with NFTs, right? But you were doing crypto like way before, right? I know like you've been involved with crypto. Can you tell us a little bit about what you were doing in crypto before NFTs? Because I think then we'd love to dive into like some NFT things as well.
Sure. I got into crypto by writing white papers. So I'm a technical writer. I contribute to a ton of magazines and publications over the years. And as a writer, back, in this first bubble in 2017, right around that time, there was just all these Russians and Chinese that wanted technical white papers in English. And so I ended up capturing some clients who wanted to pay me in Bitcoin because of the ease of cross-border payments with Bitcoin coming from these countries. And I was interested in this space because one of my friends, she's also a content creator. Her name's Rachel Wolfson. And so she had been writing some papers. And so she kind of told me about this, a while ago, like maybe it was 2016, I got my first gig writing a white paper, coming up with some token economics as a result of that, researching a ton, learning about the space. And, voila, a few white papers later, getting paid in Bitcoin, watching how that space unfolded, started, trading my Bitcoin, started investing it into different tokens, and then building out a portfolio and, researching all of these companies. It's been interesting to see these projects take off and to kind of choose some of the best projects early on. And sort of ride this decentralized finance wave and sort of see how it's settling in now with content creators as NFTs are turning into a big trend.
Ken, did you have anything?
So, Sarah, explain in layman's terms. Like I've seen NFTs uttered like, somebody's putting out their NFTs. Like you have all these memes that you've seen on social media. Oh, they're now being auctioned off as NFTs. We saw that record-breaking, like Beeple's work of art was sold for $69 million, like this massive record as an NFT. Can you explain, first of all, like what an NFT is, and just for layman's terms, and then second, can we dive into how creators, if they're like, oh, we're seeing this trend, how do we get involved in this? Like, what do we need to do to have an NFT, and like what do we do with it afterwards?
Sure. So digital assets are huge right now. As we know, we're all watching the news about Bitcoin and Elon's tweets. A vital characteristic of a popular tradable currency is its fungibility. Cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin and Ethereum, they're completely fungible. That means that each token is equally as valuable and indistinguishable from the other one. So if a currency is non-fungible, then each transaction actually requires the buyer and the seller to agree on the token's value through a smart contract or a similar module on anything outside of the Ethereum network. But non-fungible tokens, these are called NFTs. They have a ton of use cases just beyond a medium of exchange of value. So it's really become this niche in the industry. And NFTs are just getting so much recognition from You mentioned Beeple's NFT selling for an exorbitant amount of money. Also CryptoKitties, and then NBA Top Shots. That's another example of an NFT company that is in the news a lot right now. Sometimes maybe not like positive news, but there's a artist explosion, and there's a in the area of monetizing digital artwork. So instead of just carrying a monetary value, an NFT represents the value of a unique item that is completely different from and distinguishable from other items. So, they cannot be replaced by another. They're totally different in their functions and what they do. And so, I think creators are trying to find that cool angle. Like, how do I package my content? How do I make it really different to distinguish this one from another one? So you think kind of try to think of like a package deal. That's what I think the artists are trying to sell. So just like a work of fine art, you can that's completely indistinguishable from another work of fine art. You can have replications of each, just like you have a print of fine art. So you could sell, the original one, and then you could sell, the first 50, copies.
So Sarah, let me ask you a question about this. And I guess so the cynical people out there, I would consider myself cynical enough sometimes, right? Would say I already have this thing, so why buy it, right? What are some of the underlying I guess motivation? Why are people buying these things, right? I get obviously if I can make something and someone wants to buy it, cool, good for me to be able to sell it. What are there any patterns or trends or reasons you see people buying them, right? And I think part of the cynicism, I guess, is we're still stuck in a physical world sort of context, right? So, all the digital things didn't make sense to the people who were analog before, but now digital seems so native. But, we've always held art still kind of separate, right? Or digital art certainly had was a different domain, and it feels like it's catching up or getting parity with with the physical analog art world now to some degree as well, right? So, but are there any thoughts on motivations or why people are buying these? You're sort of just what is there something else? There's other things going on here at the same time, right? And it's not just the availability of crypto per se.
Right. I think that just like an art collector, you buy art because you want to add it to your collection, and maybe that collection will be worth something one day. So you like it, you want to show it off to your friends. You have this ability to hang it on your wall. Your friends can see it. They think it's cool. You get to enjoy it. You get to look at it. So I think it's similar to that. It's attractive to collectors. It's attractive to crypto traders and to people who want to hold their digital assets in new ways that they think, instead of buying one thing that's like every other thing, a Bitcoin is indistinguishable from another Bitcoin. They say, well, why don't I just hold this cool NFT? It does something. I get this value out of it. Like Gary Vee launched his series of NFTs.
What were they called?
Yeah.
Friends.
Yeah, you can put it up there. But he, with each one of these trading cards, you get a ticket to his annual conference for something like 5 years, maybe 10 years. You get to have a all access pass. So people are coming up with new experiences, and that's kind of up to the creators. But also there's a lot of technology innovators out there and startup companies that are coming up with great ways to help the creators package these possibilities through new technologies that offer, more options for creators to create content in this new model where, you're not dependent on this middleman, YouTube or Instagram to get, your advertising revenue. Actually, it kind of cuts out the advertising model altogether. I mean, in this new world of Web 3.0, there really are no ads. Only the best content wins. So if brands want to get their name out there, they're going to have to get really creative, work with the creators, and find new experiences in this economy. So I think like tickets are doing really well. People like access, people like experiences, tangible things. So like, for example, this card unlocks, a bunch of different experiences. It's not the card. And then the card itself actually holds a value, a monetary value that you can sell. Right.
So Sarah, I just want to let's point out, like, in recent news, recent days, there was one company, that raised like tens of millions of dollars, right? And their whole thing is fascinating about it is that it's backed by Quincy Jones, and it's all for like musicians and artists, right? And as we're talking about like what you can do with these type of things, can you explain, like, if I'm a musician, like what can I do with, like, what? Obviously, right now there's like live music isn't happening for maybe a little bit longer due to the pandemic, and so a lot of people are out of work. But these artists want to maintain their relationship with their fans and their community. So obviously, they could put out their posts on traditional social media, but if they want to have some sort of a Patreon type of experience, minus actually having it hosted on Patreon, which would take some sort of a cut of the fees or whatever of this loyalty program, the subscription program, they could use an NFT this way. So they say, hey, you can buy an NFT of our latest album cover, and that will get you an access to a virtual show with us, and plus, free a discount on merchandise or blah blah blah. Is this kind of what could possibly be the potential of an NFT for this type of these type of professionals?
I see what you're saying, like discounts on a T-shirt. I think it's really this wide open space for these creators to come in, with the most creative ideas. With blockchain technology, there's this ability to democratize the ownership, and really bring that economic empowerment to the artists, and to the fans, because the fans get to have the opportunity to own their art. And, it's really up to the artists to come up with the most creative ideas and build those experiences for their fans. And minting an NFT, it's never been easier than it is now.
How do you do it? Do you have a site you like, or can we pull something up here for folks to look at?
Sure. Why don't you pull up the one that Ken just mentioned?
It's called
oneof.com. Yeah. So, OneOf is a green NFT platform, and it was built on the Tezos blockchain. And Tezos blockchain protocol is a long-lasting, energy-efficient blockchain, and it's sustainable and it's low cost, which is really great for artists who.
Can you explain it real quick, Sarah? Like, what's the process to make an NFT?
Sure. So you just go on and you mint an NFT. You have your art, whatever it might be. The OneOf platform is actually not live yet, but they did put out a launch. A lot of people in the industry are talking about it. But there's a bunch of I think the most popular one that people mention is called OpenSea, and they allow anyone to go on there and do what's called mint an NFT. So sort of think of it in Web 2.0, like minting would be like an upload, like upload a video, right? So that would be sort of the concept. But when you mint it, but an NFT is, it's a non-fungible token, so you're minting it. On the Ethereum network, one thing that is difficult for artists is that, when you go, so OpenSea's on the Ethereum network, when you mint an NFT, you have high gas fees. And even if someone
explain gas for everybody.
Oh, gas fees. There's smart contracts are what Ethereum, they call them smart contracts. It's a contract that unlocks the block. There's a lot of steps involved. The more there is, the more congestion on the network that maybe wasn't built for this level of scale and security. With that congestion can be problematic because it causes higher, what are called gas fees. So in order to mint an NFT, there's a fee. So if I just want to upload, right, like the concept of uploading a video to YouTube, it's free, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not really free, right? Like there are costs to YouTube involved with that. They make it free for the user because the Ethereum network is decentralized. There are fees associated. So it could cost, $200 to upload your content, which isn't actually called upload. It would be called mint an NFT. But just to give you some sort of conceptual comparable.
Mm-hmm. Sure. And so it's not necessarily the production resources that created that thing per se, right? So it's not like the say it was a piece of art, digital artwork. Like it's not like the Photoshop file. It's whatever you put into whatever you mint is in the thing, right?
It's like it's everything, the intellectual property. It's you're selling it. So instead of streaming something on YouTube and people get to watch it, but you're ultimately the owner, you're actually selling this. So like this digital art piece here is going for 2 ETH. But when you go to buy that, you're going to have to pay gas fees associated with it.
Oh, and also interestingly, here I know you have to use a cryptocurrency.
Yes, you have to use a cryptocurrency. That's correct. So one thing that I did notice about one of is that anyone can buy an NFT with a credit card. So it makes it easier for people to get into the space who are maybe first-time users.
One thing I've noticed here, Greg, if you scroll up slightly to the previous section, actually one more up, is this eco-responsibility. Like we know, like Elon Musk made it abundantly clear why he was backing away from accepting Bitcoin for Teslas, just because of the energy usage. And there's a lot of claims that say Bitcoin is not necessarily environmentally friendly in terms of mining it. And look, we're dealing with climate change. We have to deal with that. But it's fascinating to see this type of an approach from a company that's saying, look, we're diving into this NFT industry, which is still very much a wild west, right? And we've seen like NFT valuations, the cost of NFTs go up with people, and it kind of goes down. And now, one of us like, hey, we're here, but we're also taking a secondary approach that we are socially responsible. We're doing something socially responsible to make this happen. Like, what does that say about the industry itself, the world of NFTs?
Well, that's it's interesting you pointed out Tezos. It's an energy efficient, what's called proof of stake blockchain that takes 2 million times less energy to mint an NFT compared to NFT platforms like OpenSea that we just looked at, built on Ethereum's network. So just like one quick stat about that I happen to know is minting 3 NFTs, on one of has the carbon footprint equivalent to the weight of a snowflake. And if you compare that to a carbon footprint of some of the NFT platforms like OpenSea built on Ethereum's network, that could be equivalent, some of them, to 900 pounds of carbon emissions. And so that's why you saw, Elon tweeting about the environment, because Ethereum network is a blockchain that uses proof of work consensus mechanisms, and that is the mechanism that is also used by Bitcoin, and it requires miners to compute. They have to solve complex mathematical problems that validate these transactions on the network for a chance to win a reward. That's their incentive. And so that requires this very expensive mining equipment that's consuming large amounts of power. And so, no matter how great the NFTs are, if you're, hurting the environment, then that's not something that I think artists or public figures want their brand associated with. And so that's likely why Elon was tweeting he's pulling out of his Bitcoin.
Do you think that's a rate limiter to more people using them currently?
Like a barrier to entry?
Yeah. Like, are people hesitant because of these? I think there has been more awareness about the impact of this, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think that artists really care about the environment, and they, this is a cause that they are concerned about, and so they want to be mindful of their ecological footprint. And that's just something I've noticed with artists, is they're very particular about who they work with, and they really care about their art being associated in the planet in a positive way.
Yeah.
So
Curious,
Sarah,
sorry, Ken. I was.
sorry. Go ahead, Greg.
Sorry. The use cases that are there use cases that you think we should be aware of NFTs, maybe, or smart implementations or usage that you've seen that that might be good in source of inspiration for brands or for creators out there who are thinking about, hey, this is an interesting concept. Early on it takes when YouTube started, people just put up all kinds of videos. Then eventually there started to become some design patterns for kinds of videos or use cases that people get normalized too. Are there any of those that you might want to point out or that you like?
I think that there's some artists doing some really great work in the NFT space, and it's such an early time that there are brands, I'm sure, that want to get involved. I'm sure a bunch of big brands are all having board meetings right now about NFTs. How do they get involved? Should we take this seriously? Is this just a fad, or is this here to stay? But similar to Nokia, they held a board meeting and they circulated the iPhone on the day that the iPhone launched, and they said, is this a competitor to us or not? And they just kind of laughed and said, well, look how much market share we have. Look how much money we have in Nokia. And then, fast forward a couple years, it's all about Apple. It's all about the iPhone. So, you got to really take the technology seriously. Like I said earlier, technology always wins. And NFTs are certainly, in my opinion, here to stay. It's the new frontier. So the time is now for brands to jump on the bandwagon.
So Sarah, in your experience, oh my goodness, like your vast experience of being a developer, reporter, journalist, and creator, and now, like, what does it say in terms of like the world of blockchain technology, right? This rise, although it's been around for a while, but let's say this rise of blockchain technology, this decentralization. And we've seen the reports, we've heard stories of how platforms, these traditional social media platforms, these Web 2.0, God bless those times when we all went to these conferences and heard about the latest from Twitter, from YouTube and Twitch and everything like that, of like, hey, we're launching these new features for our users to create on there. And then we hear that, these platforms just quash these creators. They just take away what they give us. They take away, right? And then the creators are like, well, what happened? Like you said you're there for us, and now you take it all away from us, and now you're back again and saying, hey, we're here for you. But you're like, at some full point, it's like, all right, you guys are just basically baiting us because you want us. It's not like we need you at this point. and there's an article from interview that Jack Conte from Patreon gave. It's like the creators have a lot of leverage now, right? And we talked about it last week. And I think what you're talking about with this decentralization and blockchain and NFTs, it's almost as if like a creator these days can just say, you know what, forget minus the network effects that you get from traditional social media, forget everybody else. We're just going to a creator can just be completely decentralized and run an efficient business. Is that would that be a fair statement to say? And is that something you've seen in the wild?
Oh yeah, I mean, just look at how much money Facebook, YouTube, and all these tech giants have made off of my content for the last 15 plus years. I mean, I get a revenue share of that, but it would be great if I could have all of it. Just go straight to my audience and share my content, and they can purchase it, they can own it. And if I ever really want it, I can, hit one of them up and buy it back. It's an economy. The content is open for multiple people to share in the ownership, which is also an exciting kind of crowdfunding technology that we're seeing enter the NFT space now, with startups who are innovating new technologies for what's called fractional ownership. So it doesn't have to be for the few elite at the top, and platforms are enabling also NFTs to be sold at low purchase prices. So not all NFTs are going to be those $62 million, peoples. You're going to see very affordable NFTs. And if you get in with an artist early, just like a traditional artist, you buy their work early, you never know where they could go in their career. So it's really just about liking something, wanting something that's unique and different, and having that collector mentality.
And just to know, from what I understand, though, you can't sell future revenues, right? In a traditional, right?
No.
So you're just sort of like, it's the one-time thing.
Yeah.
And you said something, and I think, Sarah, I think the thing that you and Ken are both pointing out, which I think is the powerful part, is maybe the real dynamic shift is that in the past you had to get big, right? Like you didn't have an option, right? Like if you didn't get to tens of thousands or 100,000 or 1 million followers, subscribers, whatever it was, like you couldn't really live off of like that smaller amount, right? And so I think like what we're seeing now is a transition to where it is possible now for a smaller audience to potentially be a bigger contributor into the mix. Well, Sarah, this has been awesome. Thank you for actually taking the time to explain some of these things to us, because we're new to this. Figuring it out.
We'll have to launch our own NFT
Ken feels way more informed right now. But we are about to go into the last part of our show, and I know you have to pop off. So by all means, thank you so much. We just wanted to say thanks again. We hope to have you join us in the future. But thanks. We will see you soon, and we look forward to talking about anything and everything you do in the future. So come back soon.
Wonderful. Thank you.
But Sarah, one thing, like, how do people find more information about you? Give our listeners how do they keep in touch? Sure.
Sarah ATV on Instagram, Sarah Austin on Twitter. Follow me.
All right. Well, make sure you get out there and follow Sarah. She's definitely been in this for a while and has definitely been doing fun and interesting things. So I hope you will take a chance to learn more about her and connect. All right, Sarah, thank you so much. Thank you for being
Sarah,
here.
Appreciate it.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, we are now going into our After Dark series. So part of the show, which means that everyone listening, we want you to get on stage with us. So raise your hand. I see some of you out there on Twitter Spaces. But it's really just a chance to chat and catch up, reflect on what we had heard or discussed today. So if you'd like to join us, raise your hand. I'm going to see if I can invite some friends up here to speak with us. If you do come on up, just say where you're speaking from. Let me check on Clubhouse. We got some friends out there listening on Clubhouse as well. If anyone in Clubhouse wants to come on up, just raise your hand. We're happy to have you join us to join in conversation, share your thoughts. It's an opportunity just to, connect and reflect a bit. So Ken, what about, what are your thoughts now? What are you going to mint as your first NFT?
I have no idea. Like it's the there's so much potential based on what Sarah was talking about. It's like we could totally do that, and I mean, especially when you cut through the middleman, but it's kind of, it makes sense, especially when you look at what all the headlines in the past in terms of like, hey, we're going to allow, like YouTube's been experimenting with like allowing creators to sell merchandise. Instagram's about to do some sort of a shopping type of play as well. So it's only a matter of time before these big platforms are starting to see the potential of what's in this blockchain and with NFTs and everything, and kind of incorporate that. But it's almost, but I think that what these social platforms are doing is they're holding the network reach as hostage. That's their leverage over the creators, right? But I think if these companies, if the creators are like, you know what, as we're talking about with earlier, it's like, hey, let's go ahead and get rid of, bypass the traditional platforms and go straight with, blockchain and do our own rally, our creator coins and do NFTs. Who knows, right? They could very well we could see a whole new, we could definitely see this next generation of this creator economy to what Neil was talking about. Was it Neil talking about it was Dimitri. Oh my gosh. Dimitri was talking about the creator economy 2.0. Like maybe we could start to see this ushering in of this new era of the creator economy. And it's like, and I don't know what the like, the sky's the limit. And I mean, now Sarah's explained it to me. I'm like, okay, great. This is going to be, now I understand it better. I know what everyone's talking about. I think the execution, the execution of creating one is still a little above my head, but I'd love to know more about that.
I think the creation part's the easy part. It's the value part that I think is challenging.
Yeah.
Murray actually has a fairly good comment here. He says that NFTs remind me of CryptoKitties. Cool, but not required. They only have value if someone is willing to pay for them. I've seen NFTs backfire on major artists because their fans question their cost or value.
That's always the case, right? It's like, it's all about how much you can put something out there, and it could be wind up being like, oh, I'm hoping to make $69 million like Beeple to sell from art, but ultimately you basically get 69
let's just be
cents.
clear. Most people are not going to sell an NFT for $69 million. I would say I'm cautious about them. I think the more they, at least for now, as a transitionary thing, the more they marry to that analog world, like the better. Like the thing that's interesting about like Gary's sort of NFT collection is he drew them all, right? Like, and I think that there's something interesting about knowing it was like a hand-drawn thing by someone, right? Now, that's just me. Maybe it's just like, I've been in technology my whole life, but like that seems rare, more quote unquote real to me, right? There now, moments I think also seem very real to me, right? So if I'm imagining use cases, so I think like if I was in a live stream, if someone was here as our guest, I'm on the Joe Rogan podcast, and it's that little clip, that moment as a commemorative piece, like where I can mint it, stamp it, push it out, and I know that it's there, and like you own that moment. It feels a little like owning one of the stars, like those sites that sell you a star.
Yeah. Well, it's almost like you could say like that like a historic moment in time. Like, for example, when Barack Obama announced that he's running for president, right? Mm-hmm. Or when it was announced that Barack Obama won, was elected president for the first time. I like just taking that moment and making that as an NFT. Like, imagine, like, obviously in hindsight,
someone has to make that, right? I see Priscilla's joined us on Twitter Spaces. If you want to unmic, feel free, join in anytime. I think it's got to be, there has to be a dynamic. You can't, it can't be, it has to be someone commemorating that moment in time. It can't just be that moment in time existed, right? So you're a photographer. Mm-hmm. In the past, when you could sell like the perpetual rights to like, to a photo that you've created, right? You could sell prints to it, mm-hmm. right? To me, it feels like if you were to go down the NFT pathway, you would be converting one of your you'd sell the rights. It would say put the rights to your photo into that thing, right? Into an NFT and then sell that, right? I get it. That's just like royalties and licensing and those kinds of things kind of have existed in the past, right? Like because it's like kind of like a lot of photographers never sell their originals, right? They only sell like the prints, right? Unless it's like bespoke work or something like that. Even then, like if you get married, right? They often don't give you the originals, right? Like they'll give you your prints, right, or something like that. So it is interesting. Where I'm curious, about some of these other. Now, the use case that actually I think are really interesting is these NFT, kind of like Gary's doing these NFTs as tickets, right? Because they are also one of a kind things. Those are things that were previously numbered, like things that existed in a series that were numbered, et cetera, right? There's some interesting stuff there, I think, like because, okay, great, you have a ticket. There's only like one of these in the world, and this one ticket can get you into this one door, right? So I think like when it facilitates or enables access to a thing, for me at least, just mentally, it's easier to wrap my head around some of those use cases than understanding, say, the value of owning like an original. Because here's the thing: you don't own the rights to the like. Say you bought a YouTube video on an NFT, unless it's. And I saw this done. Remember Charlie Bit My Finger?
Yep.
So recently
that went on auction too. Yeah,
they sold the NFT, but this is what I thought was powerful. They also deleted it off of YouTube.
Well, no, there was thoughts they were going to take. I don't think they took it off of YouTube.
Well, I talked to the guy who was running it, and that was at least the plan, right?
Right.
Or at least to me, that made sense, right? I was like, okay, so now like the original is actually back. You actually have the original, but like there's something to it, right? Like, I mean, but the fact that it's always the way you consumed it originally was like in a print or not of the original, right? Like when you go to a museum, what do? You see the original and then you buy the print, right?
Or you take your phone and you take a picture.
Yeah.
And then so you have a digital copy.
In the digital world, it's kind of the opposite. Like what we're still talking about here is because you view the original with the exact same fidelity basically as the print, right? And then it's just literally bragging rights to own the original, I guess.
Yeah.
Because you don't own the royalty from it. You don't own the money from it. You don't necessarily own the right to create new prints of it, right? I don't know. It's a complicated area for sure, I think.
No, I think there's a lot of promise with the NFTs. It's like, but it's still very that it's what you could do afterwards is still very ambiguous. But that's not necessarily a bad thing either, right? I mean, because it's like it's this wild. Again, we were talking about this wild west, like, and I think at some point we need like this type of a jar where we put in coins every time we utter that phrase, the wild west. It's like I'm basically 50 cents into this thing now. But the what you could do with these NFTs and this decentralization, and it's certainly worth diving into in future shows of how decentralization can change this creator economy, especially when we're talking about how these are now businesses. We are no longer individuals. Like we are businesses. And so in order for us to have, we need to do what's best for the business, not necessarily, as I think it's as an individual, it's like, it's completely different mindset, but as a business, you got to do what's best to monetize yourself.
We do have Jeremiah here, joined us from Twitter Spaces.
Hey, Jeremiah.
Hey, everybody. Hey, Ken.
How's it going?
It's a discombobulated world because I can see Ken, but I only see like little lines moving next to Jeremiah's face.
What do you mean?
Well, we're in a video stream also, but like I'm listening.
You're
piped in.
Got it.
It's technology, Jeremiah. Technology.
So I did a tweet like 6 minutes ago about NFTs, coincidentally, and I identified that there's more features for the modern NFT. Right. So can I just tell you?
Please share that. I'm looking at it. Share what you have here.
So digital art, which you just talked about, but the other thing that it could include, and it could be a mixture of these things. There's like 8 things. It could be personalized. So the music digital artist BT, he's a DJ and musician. He launched an NFT and sold it, and then he made the art personalized for the person who bought it. Also, there's social cred. So you see the DeFi friends and like Bored Ape folks. They turn whatever NFT they bought, they turn that into their Twitter profile. The next one is the Gary V play, which is access to an event, which he is promising to do. So it's become a ticket. The next one is belonging to a community. So Bored Ape, when you buy their NFT, you get access to their yacht club, which is an online virtual community, kind of like Club Penguin, I think. In the future, all games are going to be like this. The next one is derivative rights. So you can mix up the NFT if you purchased it and reuse it, like a Creative Commons ability to change and alter. And then, of course, resale revenues and maybe other forms of revenues could be dividends or things like that. So I think we're past phase one, which is just purchasing a license or a copy of the art. The modern NFT must include those things I just said in combination. That's it.
Wow.
I like this. This is great.
Yeah.
Can you retweet it if you like it?
We're not sharing it at all.
It's in the stream right now, and we're sharing it out.
Oh no, I'm asking for a retweet. Damn it!
Well, I made an NFT of your tweet, Jeremiah.
You would see, I retweeted it also.
This is social audio. Don't talk to me about screen.
You're late with the audio part because we've been in video first.
but Jeremiah, I've just made an NFT of that tweet. Is that a little meta tweet? meta NFT. But no, this is really, really good, Jeremiah. Thank you. Like, it's timely based on what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, it was just like 2 minutes before this room start. I came into this room. Unbelievable. We're on the same wavelength. I mean, I mean the digital NFT market kind of died out. I mean, they need to add more features.
Right. Yeah. And so, Jeremiah, do you think these types of these models will be hardened into like software, or do you think it stays kind of in this bespoke arena that we've been sort of seeing so far?
Yeah, I think you can do a mixture. Like, so Greg and I are both part of Rally, and so it's going to have an NFT feature. I actually am not sure which one of these features it'll have, but I'm sure like OpenSea and Rarible are trying to add on these things as well. I mean, Gary V, what did he use for his?
It has something like nameless or something underneath it. I forgot. It's VFriends. By the way, Jeremiah, also, like there are things like that I know I've seen that at least for like turning tweets into NFTs. Like there's a website or something that does that. But yeah, Gary Vee's using a service called Nameless, which is called launching your custom NFT project. Has never been this easy. Let's see here. I'll put this into the stream as well if folks want to see it. Nameless.io in case anyone's interested. And if you're watching, you can also see it here. But yeah, they provide, they provide the whole thing actually. That whole thing is actually VFriends, maybe Gary probably owns this company. Like VFriends is in the header image, but maybe these were combined forces at the same time, right?
Yeah, I think he invested in it.
Yeah, I would imagine he did.
Anything with V in it is Gary associated.
Yeah,
interesting. So with this, you upload any type of media asset. You can bundle up these NFTs, and then it basically is like a stripey kind of thing as well.
Yeah, I mean it's going to be like any type of like access to an event will probably become an NFT.
Tickets,
in 2022.
Right? Yeah,
tickets. Club access to anything like you can imagine Clubhouse rooms could become NFT'd, right? To get to those rooms, Facebook groups could have an NFT.
You see, this is where I prefer the tokens though, Jeremiah, because I feel like the one-off production for like membership type of things. I mean, I guess, like if you got a membership card, the analog world would be that membership card for a year. But since these may not die, maybe, but they have a minting date, right? So you could use that potentially.
You could say, you can make it programmable. The thing with the NFT is it's not programmable, but actually I'm not sure that's true, but I guess you could wrap it.
Yeah. This nameless thing supports something they call evolution NFTs, which says don't get stuck with typos and errors in your digital collectibles. Our evolution NFTs allow you to make changes on the fly. Interesting.
So Jeremiah, I have a question about your tweet.
Eventbrite. So imagine Eventbrite and Evite and upcoming every type of event or company or Facebook events has an associated NFT. Can you imagine that? Go ahead, Ken.
So based on what you're talking about with digital art, personalized assets, social cred, events, and everything else, what is the company, or who's the one that should be responsible, or will be the individual or group that will establish these type of protocols or services?
I don't know, but the blockchain community will say this. Well, it should be a smart contract that's distributed. Duh, that's what they would say. But that isn't. But you still need a neck to choke when you get selling tickets to things, right? So I suppose it will be the person who posted it for sale.
So then
original, let me amend that. The original person who created it and posted it for sale will be responsible for fulfillment. Actually, I don't know.
Let's see if we get James in here, by the way. James, you listening on Twitter Spaces, has minted some NFTs himself. Have you seen James's NFTs?
No, let's go see it. Let's hear about it. James, tell us what's going on.
He's still a listener. Let's hope he comes on up. But he did some. He's been using what's that AI thing called again? The GPT thing.
Oh, GPT-3.
Yeah, he's been doing some like generative art using AI, which I think it's been very fun ones. Very interesting. James's ones actually feel kind of like art exhibits that I would go look at, like in a museum.
I'm looking at his feed right now.
He has some super cool ones as well that he's done. All right, here he goes. James, tell us.
Hey, James.
Welcome.
Yo,
James.
Hey, what's up?
Is your avatar an NFT?
It is.
Are you an NFT? How do we know you're really you?
That's going to be a high price.
So, James, you've been doing some awesome experiments with NFTs as well. We were just having a talk. We were curious about your thoughts on, what made you start experimenting with them, and sort of what have you learned in the process of putting it out there?
Yeah, sure. I guess I wasn't really into the NFT or even the blockchain space for a long time. What really got me into it was just sort of seeing and a sort of outlet for a lot of my digital I didn't even consider art before, but I've been making sort of viral creations that were sort of literary in basis. They were kind of weird, and I figured it felt like a lot of NFT platforms they are digitally native, right? And the fact that value creation, sort of value transfer, is baked into the protocol, it just made me think and it felt like also the audiences were more receptive to weird things in general, versus sort of the old genres that we see in kind of Web 2.0, but also because I've been involved in sort of writing short stories and various other literary outlets. So yeah, I've been experimenting with just making some interesting little AI generative art, and I've mostly been experimenting on Hic et Nunc, which is a Tezos-based NFT platform.
So James, having coming from somebody that has very little technical prowess, was this an easy thing to set up, to do these things yourselves? How much skill do you need to do?
Highly technical person. It might not be the best sort of.
Here's the analogy. If you consider all the Ethereum platforms like OpenSea, Foundation, Rarible, etc., and you compare that to the Tezos platforms like Hic et Nunc, which I don't like the name, by the way. It's just impossible to pronounce. Let's just call it Hen. It's Hen is if Foundation is the Sotheby's, Hen is the really spare Brooklyn loft with punk rock like blasting, and there's no there's no handrails or anything. It's pretty bare bones, and it actually reminds me of the early days of the Web 2.0 platforms that were out there, which is actually very exciting because I feel like that platform has actually the most experimental art that's out there, and it is also, I believe, the platform that has the highest share of people who are both creators but also are collecting. So I think that's really interesting. That's why I've been investing more into that platform specifically, and I believe it also has now surpassed DAU versus OpenSea. So just in terms of the number of wallets that are interacting with those smart contracts. But yeah, in terms of getting it set up, yeah, it's not user friendly. It's like anti-user friendly. I feel like they actually do it on purpose because like they want people who are really like want to do it for the intrinsic value of like creating. It is the least user-friendly platform I've ever used in my life, probably.
It's like you finally found the holy grail, and therefore you're allowed to live forever. But if you're like you can't, tough luck, you don't get it. It's like this really weird quest.
A little bit like that. I think and also they just started like 3 months ago, which is crazy. Yeah. Right. So, and it's basically like overshadowed in terms of DAU. So I have a lot of faith in like the future of that platform. I think it's very bright. But it is hard to use today. But there's a lot of, and it's super decentralized. There's no like company behind it. So unlike Foundation and various other ones, it's just a lot of volunteers like making the platform from scratch.
And this is the
right.
Yeah. And this is what's this platform again? It's
called Hic et Nunc, which is Latin for here and now. So it's hicetnunc.xyz. So that's the piece. So I started on Foundation, did a few sort of weird AI poetry stuff there, and I moved over to Hic et Nunc, and I made a piece that went viral. It was called "Things Are a Little Crazy Right Now."
It's on screen right now, by the way. Over here.
Oh, I don't think that's the one. Oh, is it?
Oh no, I have it. I have it on the in the live stream. Yeah, I'll put it in to the tweet as well.
Yeah, so that was very surprising. So that was a piece that I maybe would have made. Right, just like it's kind of a fun little piece that's like two AI bots trying to schedule meetings together, and they just never schedule it. So it's very very apropos for like the COVID Zoom times. But because it was also an NFT, because it went viral on Twitter, I was able to sell it for like over $10,000. Like depending on how you would like do the conversion rate in Tezos. So there were like 15 limited editions, and I basically like priced it higher each time. And I was very surprised. Like, but I think I would attribute that to its viral nature on Twitter. So there are definitely a lot of speculators on Hic et Nunc as well who are collectors. Who are just like tracking prices of these things and going up and seeing like the artist values go up. So there are definitely a lot of those folks who are buying and then immediately trying to resell. Actually, someone did resell it for I think about $20,000 on the secondary market. So that was a crazy week for me. So that really proved to me that like, wow, like people, I like it because like people enjoyed the thing for free, right, on Twitter, and I even self-hosted on my site as well, just in case like. Like that. Yeah. Well, Hic et Nunc like it's still like a little unstable at that point in time. That was like a month ago. Actually, they did go down for a little bit. But also like for people who like the art and want to support me or support. I also like donated all of this to all the proceeds to organizations against AAPI hate, so that like helped it as well. They can support it, and it's not like supporting through like some kind of tipping mechanism. It's not like some other like side channel thing. It's like the channel, right? So I think that's the cool thing about NFTs, because everyone can enjoy it, and then you can in the primary channel support the creator, right? And then the secondary sales as well, because I get a 15% cut of those.
Oh wow! Is that configurable, or is that just built into the platform?
It's configurable. You can set it. I don't know what the range is, but from 0% all the way up to maybe like 30% or something.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's the constraint on. I think it's the constraint that Hic et Nunc actually places.
So James, you've gone from being an entrepreneur, developer, to going to write short form books, novels, in your this new chapter of your life, and now you're kind of moving in. I mean, you're a creator in your own right, and now you're doing NFTs. Like, was there any particular rhyme or reason, or is it just more of the curiosity that you have as someone that's a fan of technology and you know an expert in there, and you just kind of want to get your hands dirty?
Yeah, I sort of see it as like seasons of life, right? I do follow my curiosity a lot of times. I see specifically why I got into this is I was actually a little frustrated with like sort of the publishing industry in general, and I'm curious about other kinds of models that could actually be experimented with for writers in that creative space. And I feel like that a lot of those platforms are like very aged, right? And and I think NFTs do provide an opportunity here. I mean, what I'm creating there is not necessarily like literary. Maybe call it like hyper literature or something like that. But there are definitely some folks who are experimenting for literary NFTs as well. So I'm part of this group called Crypto Writers. So there's a whole cadre of poets and short story writers, novel writers, who are experimenting with NFTs, whether you're selling one page of a novel at a time, or there's this cool initiative by Simon. He runs something called Untitled Frontier. He's building this platform where sort of you're like building a shared universe together, and then the funding model could be that you sell artifacts from that universe. So imagine just like how I think Star Wars, like they sell like collectibles, right? Whether it's lightsabers, like numbered, etc. Like imagine if your favorite science fiction novel is like, oh, you can actually buy like maybe the outfit that like the main character is wearing, or some artifact inside that universe. And so then these novels or short stories could be for free. But then if you really get into it, you can buy things that are like elements in that story. So I think that's an interesting model.
Is this where you think Mirror fits in, I guess, in this ecosystem? Is this kind of like, and what you just described sounds like next level past that, but have you looked at Mirror or thought about it or tried it yet?
I haven't tried it, but I think that's interesting too. It's like being able to have shared ownership in a particular essay or kind of like artifact, right? The actual reading. And I believe, they did have a couple novels that were essentially crowdfunded from that platform as well. I think it's interesting because it is different from sort of the Kickstarter where you sort of get a little trinket. It's like, oh, well, you actually like have ownership, a stake, right, in that novel, and like I guess royalties, like and other like could profit from it based on how well it does. So I think that's interesting. But I think that we should have all of these, right? All these experiments should be happening.
I had an interesting idea, James. We all have, a lot of us have kids here. Why don't we make 529 funds and just put all of our kids' artwork in there and let the grandparents and everyone else buy
it? So Greg, are you saying that you're starting a new company called Lilgrams NFT that's going to aggregate everything?
Lilgrams.xyz, of course, right?
You're going to NFT all the artwork.
I've been tempted to mint some of my son Remy's artwork, but
Remy is pretty good, though, I must say. So.
I think he's pretty good. I'm biased, but he doesn't really understand NFTs, right? He just I don't like. So it feels a little weird doing that.
He may want it back,
and also like I don't know, like what if he does grow up and become a serious artist, and then it's like this is forever in the blockchain, and then it's like, oh god, these pieces are like following me throughout my entire life.
But you could if you look at this nameless thing, right? You could potentially create something like this, make it private, and then basically invite people to. I really think there's something potentially interesting there because, like to your point, if they did become an artist, these early works would actually, it's the ideal vehicle for like actually creating value for that buyer.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I just feel like there's a bit of a consent problem.
Without a doubt.
Yeah.
But I do think it'd be interesting. It's a way for people to definitely give you money, basically, right? And it's something that only a grandparent largely can find valuable.
It's like
Yeah,
who
it's
needs
hilarious.
Christmas presents or anything like their holiday presents or birthday presents? Like, look, you just get here. You go. We'll just buy this an NFT of Remy's work. It'll go towards his college fund. There you go. It's like who needs bonds and everything like that.
Or yeah, giving an NFT to a kid for Christmas is like probably the worst.
It's like
gift.
the old
They're
stock
like,
bonds,
what is
right?
this?
It's like you'll thank
I
me
have a
when you'll
suggestion
thank me
for
when you
James.
can afford to go to college. Okay.
Hold on, we got Jeremiah has a suggestion for James.
James, I suggest that you build a virtual avatar AI of your child and have it create NFTs, and you could sell that without any emotional guilt.
Oh my god, creepy.
Yeah,
That's-
and you
that's-
could take
that's
original
great.
Remy works and then like run them
Summary
through.
creating fake work for my son.
Well,
just-
for your
just-
Oh
fake son.
no, that's a problem.
Can't GPT-3 do that for you? You know, it's like have
you
Sam
get-
Altman do
yeah.
it for you. You know.
Yeah, just connect. Yeah, GPT. Well, I mean that's the future, right? Connect GPT-3 to clip the GPT-3 to GANs, right? They can like just create everything from scratch.
And then patch in MS Paint into there so it looks more like a kid's thing.
Oh yeah, well,
Kai's
if you
Power
look at the
Tools.
Hen platform, like that's like that is the aesthetic. Actually, a lot of the glitch art and it's
Yeah.
out there is like, okay, yeah, it is purposely looking. It's supposed to look like it is from MS Paint, but it's cool.
Yeah, I see. Zarix has joined us. How you doing?
Hello.
Welcome. Thanks for joining the convo. Oh, did we lose him?
Nope. Oh, hold on.
Nope.
Xerox?
Yeah.
There we go. Hello?
Speaking
Oh.
French.
Sorry. Well, some people might know French.
Oh.
But, well, this has been a fun episode, actually. I'm really glad we had, some of our friends were able to participate, which is always fun. And then also just some hyper relevant experience, which goes a long way in these convos. But we are at time. So I think it's about time for us to wrap up. Thank you, everybody, for participating from Twitter Spaces, from Clubhouse, folks on Facebook, on Twitch, on YouTube. Next week, we'll be on LinkedIn again if Ken doesn't delete my stream. But tune in next week because we do have Alex from Get Vocal back. We got Fernando Parnas from Superfans coming up the week after that. Mike Donahue from Subtext after that. And then Matt Zuvella, who was originally going to be here this week, but we had to reschedule him, will be here from FamePick on July 7th. Head over to createdeconomy.com if you would like to get the show notes. We'll probably have them up in an hour and a half or so. But you can also find out about past episodes. You can sign up for our newsletter. You can also apply to be a guest if you have a topic that you think you'd love to share with us about the creator economy. So, Ken, with that, just final goodbyes. Thank you all for being here. It's been fun. This is always a highlight of the week.
Yeah, I mean, 4 episodes in, like, who knew we could have such amazing conversation? Again,
Who knew we could be consistent?
Well, I mean, might as well. We're virtually, you got to have to be, right, with time constraints and everything like that. But no, this has been great. Thank you to Sarah. Thank you to Jeremiah, to James, and everybody that joined us on this show. We look forward to hearing from you guys again. If you guys have topics that you want us to talk about, feel free to drop it on our website at created.show. Again, as Greg's talked about, everything will be on createdeconomy.com later on. Of course, follow us on Twitter. We love that. So we
At
can
Created Economy on Twitter.
Yep. And then we are on the YouTube. So bit.ly/created economy. Get us there so we can get some more creator tools. Woo! Because it's all about followers, right?
Yeah. So we are here Wednesdays. Just a reminder, Wednesdays at 3 p.m. Mountain Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, and what's that? 5 p.m. Eastern time.
5 p.m. Eastern, yeah.
All right.
We need like little clocks or something.
Yeah, we need little clocks or something. But thank you, everybody. It's been always a fun experience. Next week, we'll be back with more news and another deep dive. But I think next week we're talking about podcasting, actually. So if that's
we have nothing, we have no idea what that's about at all.
I know what our guest is an expert in.
So it's all about education. So bring it on.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Have a great week, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
See ya.